Well, we now come to the final segment of today's summit, which focuses on brands going green and about scaling up eco-centric products and solutions. Well, it's our honor, ladies and gentlemen. This conversation will be led by the Chairman, CII, IGBC, and National President, IPA. We're talking about none other than Gurmit Singh Arora. Well, Gurmit, being the National President of the Indian Plumbing Association, the apex body of plumbing professionals in India, the Chairman, of course, of CII, Indian Green Building Council. He did signal me that, Bhavna, let me take it forward from here, but we're going to quickly do a segue to all our panelists. Just allow us a moment. Okay, perfect. Well, with that, it is time for me to call upon our esteemed speakers, Associate Director, Sustainability, Buro, Happold Engineers Private Limited, Aditi Kulkarni. Aditi, bringing in 18 plus years of subject matter expertise and leadership in sustainability and climate change consulting, helping clients across the region define and deliver their sustainability and ESG activities. Let's give our lady a warm round of applause. Head Marketing Boards and Panels, Everest Industries Limited, Arpita Roy Luthra. Well, Arpita, a marketing leader with over 20 years of experience in executing successful marketing strategies, envisioning memorable brands, and managing world-class services. Next up, Head Business Group and Senior Vice President, Lighting Business, Panasonic. We're talking about Raja Mukherjee. A senior management persona with over 27 plus years in MNCs like Panasonic, Cooper Lightings, Cooper Life Safety Products, Seoul Semiconductor, Philips, to name a few. Next up, if I could have the founder and CEO of Baaya Design, Shibani Jain. Well, Shibani is somebody who's worked extensively with the Indian arts and crafts for over 2 decades and is associated with the craft groups across the country. And the co-founder and managing director of Magicrete, we're talking about Sourabh Bansal. Well, Sourabh founded Magicrete in 2008 and has led it to becoming a leading company and a recognized brand in building materials and construction technology space. Well, with that being said, we'd like to warmly welcome all our panelists. Let's give them a warm round of applause. And let's have them settled in. And Gurmit, over to you to take it forward.
Good evening. Good evening. I say this often. I have the distinct advantage of my turban covering my ears, and my wife says I have selective hearing. So I can't hear you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Let's bring some energy into this room. I am also having one more advantage or disadvantage. This is the last panel of the day. And so we are going to make this the best panel of the day. Just give them a big hand, they're going to do very well. Well, I am delighted to welcome all of you at this momentous event, which focuses on a very critical topic that holds the power to shape our world for generations to come. Brands going green, scaling up eco-centric products and solutions. Now, Shabnam ji, can we have a green building without having green products? Of course not, see. Today we are not only celebrating the remarkable progress made by businesses in their sustainability efforts, but also shedding light on the pivotal role played by initiatives like the Green Pro Eco Label in driving this positive change. Currently at the CII IGBC, we have 12,000 products from 350 different families certified for their greenness. Now you can have a product which is low on energy efficient, water efficient, high recyclable content, recyclability potential, a cradle-to-cradle approach, low embodied energy, low virtual water, low embodied carbon, and of course, a reuse potential. I want to ask you one question. This cell phone of mine, do you know how many liters it takes to make this cell phone? Anybody? Wild guess? 2,500 liters. 2,500 bottles of water to make one cell phone. And I have another one, that gentleman was asking me, and my friends also asked me, "Tu ye Chor Bazaar se laya hai," but it's working since 10 years. Okay? And my daughter wants to change the cell phone every year. Oh, Papa, iPhone 15 has come now. Shit, even iPhone 14 is working well, you know. So my request to all of you is that we have to see, already global warming has reached a level uncontrollable by all of us. Your oceans have 1 million microplastics in every square kilometer. Every day you hear of some catastrophic death. Even now, somewhere in the east, some cloudburst has happened and people have died. 23 police personnel or something like that are missing. And we don't even shed a tear. Why? Because it's not our immediate family. It doesn't affect us anymore. Death, destruction, as long as it's not in our home, does not disturb us anymore. We just read through it and go on to the more news. Ukraine, Russia war is more important. We have, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to use the word, become important. We have become important to reality. We do not know what is happening, and we do not have a plan B. We do not have a habitable earth which we will leave for our children and their children to come. So it's very important, ladies and gentlemen, that we all work together in making sure that the entire built environment, which is responsible for 38% of the carbon emissions worldwide, is certified green. My Prime Minister has an aspiration that we will have reached carbon neutrality by 2070. Many of us will not live for the next 47 years to see this reality. We have to do something now. And can I get an answer from you? Yes, we will do something now. Can I get an answer from you now? Yes. Louder. Yes. Thank you very much. Let's start the panel discussion. I will go to my first speaker, my first panelist, Aditi Kulkarni from Buro, Happold. She is very passionate about green and sustainability. So Aditi, what impact does government regulation and policy have on the decisions of brands and services to go green? And how can governments incentivize eco-centric practices within the private and government sectors? Aditi, all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Gurmit. In my opinion, there is always two things. One is a carrot and the other one is a stick. We are a society wherein a lot of things have been a push kind of a situation. So to begin with, we need to have, the legislations or the compliance requirement which should be very strong, and these are actually influence a lot of impacts as far as industries progress towards anything that is better from its business as usual scenario. To give you an example, way back in 2005, when built environment or a building, real estate, as a sector, did not have any kind of a regulation. When MOEF came up and started that a certain threshold of built area have to have an environmental impact assessment, and from there the journey started. We have the ECBC codes came into existence. Again, on the side of more on the disclosure side, a lot of listed companies now are having to disclose their performance on the environmental social governance in the form of business responsibility reports. So in order to have a disclosure, you have to have, a report is a manifestation of the work that you do. So basically, if there are no measures in place, there is no disclosure, and then there will be consequences in terms of non-compliance. So this is a sort of a direct stick kind of a situation. The other side is a carrot side, which is more on the incentivization in terms of promoting electric vehicles, or even that is also kind of coming into the X percentage of, the 10% or 30% of parking needs to be the EV compliant parking in the built environment space, or renewable energy, like 5% of the demand of overall demand has to be renewable. So this is more on the compliance side, and also on the side of reducing the overall operational cost, that incentivization is happening. From the financial institutions, again, going with the green building side, there are financial institutions who are offering a base point reduction in overall loans. So that is also again a side where this is from the private sector that incentivization is happening. So we need a push from both sides to have this journey towards the greener and greener eco-centric products.
Thank you, Aditi. I'll go on to Arpita. What are the key drivers behind the growing trends of brands and services embracing eco-centric products and solutions?
Gurmitji, one thing that defines, the way that we are building today and what is driving sustainability that you meant is purely the latent need of the customer. I think, the organizations that are able to realize that in time, and they are more, in tune with what is going to be the next thing that they actually offer to the market, which is going to actually which is going to be absolutely adapting to the vision of the customers, plus the architects and the designers who are building. That is very important for any organization to think about and act on. Like, we are one of the leading manufacturers of fiber cement boards in India. And initially, these fiber cement boards were only used for wall partitions. Over a period of time, what we have also seen is that how we've been able to do the value socialization, how we've been able to promote what is important in the product, what are the value adds that are there in the product, and how we've been able to build the entire ecosystem around it. So now these products are being used for advanced drywalls, where it can give you heat and sound insulation. It can also give you fire rating up to 2 hours or so. It's much more safer alternates to be used. And these are also promoting faster construction. Today the need of the hour is that you create or you build in a certain time period with the minimal resources. You have a crunch in terms of labor, you have a crunch in terms of sand or water, which are important for construction. So how could you propagate a dry construction technology which is going to be much faster and which will also create durable, sustainable construction for years to come? So organizations that are really realizing that at an early stage and are adopting it will push forward and will remain, will do well in the future.
Thank you, Arpita. I'll move on to Raja. In the lighting industry, how are you leading the way in adopting energy-efficient, green-rated, certified products and solutions, and what can others learn from your experience, looking at the fact that we at IGBC are now looking at 2 billion square feet of green footprint every year. So there's a large market coming up to 50 billion by 2047. So how are you gearing up for that?
Thank you, Gurmit, for asking me this question, and good evening, everybody. I think, as we all know, about 20% of the energy is consumed by lighting, of the total power that is generated. So even after we shifting from the conventional system to the LEDs, although it saves about 50% of the energy thereby, still that's not sufficient. So if you look at I'll answer the question in two parts. One is how do we address the energy efficiency part of it? And second is how do we address the sustainability part of it? So if you look at a typical lighting fixture, it constitutes of a housing which houses the different elements in the fixture. Then you have the heart of the fixture, which are the LED chips. And these are driven by a driver, which is there, an electronic device. And then you have lens systems or optics, which redistributes the light to the desired area of as per your requirement. So one way of looking at increasing the energy efficiency is select the best of the LEDs. And fortunately, LED is at an evolving stage. So every year, there are technologies which are evolving, and right now the LEDs at chip level, that is, at the LED level, we have availability which have an energy efficacy of about 220 lumens per watt. Okay, so which is very high in terms of the energy efficiency. So then you have the drivers also, which are very highly energy efficient. So we are talking of about 90% of driver efficiency. The lens transmissivity also has improved. Earlier, lens used to consume about, or absorb rather, I would say about 10% of the light. Now it's absorbing about 5%, so the transmissivity has improved, and these are all UV treated lenses. So these are the ways we have been able to improve the efficiency of the fixtures. From, let's say, 3 years back when we were talking of the LED fixtures, we were looking at about 110, 120 lumens per watt fixture. Now we are talking of 150 lumens per watt, 160 lumens per watt fixtures. So there is quite a paradigm shift. So, and on top of that, you can couple the LED fixtures with lighting controls and IoTize it. So if you do that, then essentially on top of 50% energy saving, you can further add about 10 to 15% more. And you can add a lot of convenience to it. So that's the major advantage of LEDification with IoTization. And the lighting can also be used as a service. And you can integrate a lot of peripherals, like HVAC can be controlled through the lighting architecture. You can also control surveillance and security through lighting. So that's the in thing now, using the lighting as the architecture. So that's the energy efficiency part of it. Coming to the sustainability part, now government, although had initiated RoHS compliance for all the lighting manufacturers, unfortunately they have rolled it back. But we are going ahead as Panasonic, as one of the leading manufacturers, we are going ahead with RoHS. Just to give you an example, what that means to our country is like if you take a typical bulb, a 9-watt bulb, we sell close to 2 crores of bulbs per month in this country, 2 crores, mind you, ladies and gentlemen. And each bulb has a basic PCB where the LEDs are mounted through soldering material. So you have to paste the LEDs and then you have to solder the electrical connections. So the soldering material, if it is non-RoHS, it will consume lead and cadmium. Okay, and you have 10 milligram of lead going into a 9-watt bulb. So imagine if you have 2 crore of bulb getting sold every month. So end of the year, you land up with about 240 kgs of lead. And this is just one SKU, and there are thousands of such SKUs. So imagine the impact that this is going to have on our environment. So RoHS is an extremely, I would say, important aspect of sustainability, and we are promoting it in a very aggressive manner. That apart, for indoor fixtures, we are also using material which will give you non-carcinogenic VOCs. So these are some of the things that we are doing to make it more sustainable. Yeah, thank you.
Very good, Raja. You touched on RoHS compliant because you need less than 100 ppm of mercury, chromium, cadmium, and lead. And I must say, give him a big hand for Panasonic, not for himself, but that they are going ROHS compliant. Not many companies. Emerson is already ROHS compliant. There are many companies which have moved towards ROHS compliant. Shibani, I'll come to you. How are crafts and sustainability linked together? And how can brands effectively communicate their sustainability efforts to consumers and build trust in their eco-centric initiatives?
Right. So, coming from the large scale to the small scale industries and medium-sized industries, there are almost, and this is not a government number, but many other groups have studied this number. There are almost 20 million artisans in the country. And they represent a huge, a section of unstructured industry that we have in India. And the handmade sector actually belongs to a space where it is low carbon footprint and it uses non-toxic materials largely, traditionally at least. Things are changing, but the handmade sector comes from the culture and roots and tradition of local places. So when we work with the handmade sector or the artisanal sector, we're actually working to encourage rural livelihoods. We're trying to build livelihoods in the place of where the artisans live. They don't have to transport and live in cities where they are aliens and treated poorly like labor. They are actually treated as artisans and artists of our country, and we actually encourage the rural livelihood and prevent migration when we do that. That's one aspect. The second aspect is usage of these materials in your raw material supply, in interiors, usage of local fabrics, usage of local art, local skills goes a long way in working on the supply chain itself and making it far more effective in terms of reducing the carbon footprint. So, and it's unstructured, but it's huge. So I just want to point that out, that these two aspects of sustainability come in. To address the second part of the question, which is how do you build trust, and I would like to say that authenticity is really the key. Right from the products you create and what you're bringing to the market, to the stories you put out with the products, to the labeling that you do for the products, to how you tell your stories and you show people your entire blockchain or your entire structure from the beginning to the end matters. Because in today's time, nobody wants to be greenwashed. They really want to believe what is your story of authenticity. So the authenticity of how you work in multiple ways, in 360 ways, makes a difference in how you build the trust with your customers. It's no longer enough to just say, I'm green, or shout that out from rooftops. But there are so many technologies available, right from blockchain to the ability of certain raw materials, to the how the artisans work in their villages, to showing the natural materials. All of it matters in how you present this to your audience and talk about how you work.
Shibani, your enterprise is like a Lijat Papad, where you are empowering villagers and giving them monetary gains also, and giving them employment. How did you start this, and why did you start this?
So I'm a designer, and I felt that as a designer, I could, of course, work in UX, UI. In fact, I started my career there. But I felt that I could make a huge difference to artisans through my design skills and innovation. Artisans don't have the ability to understand today's markets. They have got divorced from today's markets because in earlier times, the kings and the artisans lived together, worked together, created things together. In today's time, they live in rural villages, we live in cities. We don't know them, they don't know us. So the exposure that they need, or the understanding that they need of today's market, and changing their skills and innovating them for today's needs. As a designer, I thought I could make that impact. And to me, it was really challenging and inspiring to work in this whole sector. So that's how I got started. And I was inspired by my professors at college and everything. And, so it just came together for me.
I think let's give her a big hand also. A great contribution for our country. I'll go to the next speaker, Mr. Sourabh. Sourabh, you have heard all the other panelists. She is from a business, Rajas from a business. Business is also to make money. But does it make business sense to go green?
Well, Gurmit, thanks for the question. Good evening, everyone. Very interesting question. Does it make business sense to go green? Well, for us, as part of building material sector, I think there is no other option than going green. I'll share that why. So the built environment contributes to almost 40% of greenhouse gas emissions. Also, it happens to be a sector which traditionally has lagged in terms of productivity growth when you compare it with manufacturing industry. And the main reason for that is that the construction happens on site, unlike in manufacturing where products are built in factory. So I'll share from example of our own journey, at Magicrete. So back in 2008, when we were starting up Magicrete, so the idea was, how we can drive this productivity boost in construction industry. And while we were at that, we had a gut feeling that the right way to do that would be through bringing in resource efficiency. By resource efficiency, we meant it could be material efficiency, it could be energy efficiency or labor efficiency. So in a way, green. So we had a gut feeling that if we built this within our business model, we would definitely succeed. So we started about finding, the right opportunity within this sector, and we stumbled upon the brick industry. So we realized that brick industry has been a culprit in terms of, being one of the most unsustainable sectors, a very large sector, I would say, almost $10 billion in size at that point of time when we started. And the third most consumed building material. And why I say that it is one of the most unsustainable building material or unsustainable product, it's very energy guzzling. It consumes top-level agricultural soil for making it. Very labor-intensive process, and also, to the extent of employing child labor. And similarly, the implementation of bricks, the installation of bricks involves use of mortar, 10 mm, 20 mm thick mortar, which is, entirely mostly sand and cement. And the plaster that is applied, and there is this plaster could as well have been avoided. It's just to cover things up. So going to the extent of 18 to 20 mm of plaster to just cover it up. So, this seemed to be a very large opportunity, and we thought that, some form of, there could be a sustainable approach to it. And that's how we stumbled upon this beautiful product, called AAC blocks, and wherein we found our business opportunity. So, it has been 15 years till date. Actually, I'll just, how this product is more sustainable compared to bricks. It is 10 times the size of a brick. It is 70% lighter. It consumes 70% lesser material in manufacturing. It consumes almost 60% lesser energy in manufacturing the product. It has excellent thermal insulation properties. So all in all, a wonderful green product that we have in this. So, we had this conviction that this product could really disrupt this brick industry. And it has been 15 years now, and this product has just done that. So if you see the buildings around Mumbai, almost 70 to 80% of the construction that's happening in Mumbai today is using this AAC block. So it has been just a 15-year-old journey, and we have been able to disrupt a 1,000-year-old product. So clearly this shows that green does make business sense. Had it been any other non-sustainable product or a less sustainable product, lesser green product, we wouldn't have stood a chance against that product.
Thanks, Sourabh. Thank you. Thank you. We have to look at that time also. Thank you. Aditi, you are an ardent green crusader. And at Bureau Happold, what are the sustainable measures you promote in all your projects? And I said all your projects.
Thanks, Gurmit. We are at Bureau Happold, we're a 45-year young company. And our company is basically evolved from traditional built environment related engineering background, be it MEP structures, infrastructure, and then evolved into other modern, so-called modern verticals like acoustic or sustainability is now getting more intrinsic towards each of the verticals. Your question, Gurmit, is a kind of a trick question because, kind of asking me to spill my beans as a consultant. But, to kind of tell you in a nutshell, we at Bureau Happold, we have taken a commitment under SBTi to go net zero by 2030. So we have our own commitment towards embodied carbon. We have a 50% reduction in 2020 baseline for all our new projects for embodied carbon, and all new projects as far as operational carbon is concerned, we are designing them for net zero. So whatever is fitting into that particular regime, we are deploying it. So basically it is starting from deploying energy efficient HVAC systems to optimizing on the grid size on the structure side, or let's say on the glazing side, reducing the use of glass or using local materials. Everything and anything that can lead to achieving these targets, we are deploying it. Again, mostly we actually divide these things into thematic areas of energy. I mean, Panchamahabhut, I'm kind of going back to our own roots of energy, water, social, especially on the experience, social experience side also that we are looking at, because at the end of the day, these buildings will not just buildings, they will be habited by people like you and me, and so making them more inclusive in terms of accessibility to the differently abled people. So all these things we are putting in, not just from the green perspective, but also from overall optimizing the design levels. I hope I have answered the question, but I'm not sure.
Thank you, Aditi. And net zero is no more a secret, huh? So
okay, no, it is in the public domain, so not a problem.
Yeah, anyway, I'm pulling your leg. Arpita, what are some innovative approaches that you are undertaking to reduce the environmental footprint while still delivering value to customers for your products? And you think green products should demand a premium?
No, I don't think green product should demand a premium. Green product should be acceptable by all. So, initially what you'll have to do is you'll have to make the proposition so strong that it is acceptable by all, and maybe they would see the merit. See, the incidental costs of going green is slightly higher, but the moment that they see the overall, the overall advantages that it offers over a period of time and the kind of payback that it offers, so people do realize and they invest in it. So I think it should be, it should not be at a premium, but it should be affordable to everybody. And that is how we can probably make it more adoptable across. At Everest, we significantly invest in relooking at our furnish. It's the fiber cement boards are primarily made of Portland cement, silica, and cellulose pulp. We also therefore try to see that what are the other materials or recyclable materials that we can add into the furnish to make it green. So we use the thermal wastes, which is the thermal plant waste, which is your fly ash in a big way. It also makes the product lighter. So the overall, the dead load on the construction is lesser. And it's also well accepted in the community now. Because when we were talking about Sourabh using AAC blocks, so I'm sure that they also use fly ash in a big way. So this gives you a Green Pro certification, so we are recognized by IGBC. You also then get, you can get for your projects up to 4 lead points and 6 to 23 Griha points by using these kind of products. So we try and introduce more recyclable products like fly ash or denim wastes to make it green. Then, we are a zero discharge organization. So that means that our manufacturing processes are such that we recycle our water, we recycle the green waste, and we also recycle substantially a portion of the dry waste back into our furnish. So which makes it much more optimal, and it also gives you this, the scales of, it also makes your product much more affordable in the market in such a way. The other thing that we do is that we work along with the contractors in a big way to propagate the dry construction practices, because there is a merit towards that also, because by using these kind of technology, you can actually save up to almost about 300 liters of water per square feet. You don't have to, generally the traditional way of building is such that you have to water cure for 23 days. So that can be completely avoided. And so once the builders and the contractors sees the merit for it, and they try and push that forward. This also propagates 4 times faster construction. So these are the things that we start communicating in the market, and we try to popularize it so that it gets accepted widely.
You are a zero waste facility, then you need to get certification.
Looking forward to it, absolutely.
What you can measure, you can manage, right?
True.
Raja Saab,
Yes, sir.
the king of the panel discussion.
No, not at all.
Raja.
You are the kingmaker, as I said.
No, sir. What role does innovation and technology play in enabling brands to develop and scale up eco-centric products and solutions?
Thank you for this question. I think this is a very, very important question. Innovation, I think, plays a very, very important role and a pivotal role. Because unfortunately, the business that we are in, we are mostly into the red ocean. There is cutthroat competition, and people just talk of prices. But here comes the innovation. So if you can make a passive product active, and intelligent through your lighting controls, through iodization, then it becomes more innovative. I'll just give you an example. Now there is a paradigm shift happening from being an energy efficient product to a solution. So now this product-centric approach is migrating to solution-centric approach. And now people are looking at a lighting solution which will give you a feel-good factor. So it will impact your biological sense, and it will make you more comfortable. So automatically the productivity will increase. So rather than just looking at the energy efficiency, so we also look at the
Mood lighting.
Sorry?
Mood lighting.
Yes. Okay, so, and we also look at the distribution so that, we can minimize or optimize the light points without compromising on the lighting parameters. So for example, here if you require some 20 lights to light up this hall, maybe with a proper design and with a proper distribution and throw of light, you can use maybe 15 of them. So you can reduce the capex and also the opex. The maintenance cost also goes down. So these kind of things can be done. And on top of that, you can integrate daylight, save energy, and with your light sensors and with your occupancy sensors, you can further save energy to the tune of about 20-25%. I think this is very important because we all know that government is pushing urbanization in a big way. So currently the urban population is about 350 odd million. Now by 2030, the government plans to increase it to 600 million plus, which essentially means more and more cities are going to come up. Tier 2, tier 3 cities, which again means that there's a lot of requirement of power generation. So the best way is if you can save energy and come up with devices which can be energy efficient. I think this is the best way we can serve the community. And in Panasonic, as Panasonic, we are trying our best. So we have decided that by 2035, all our manufacturing units will be without carbon dioxide emission. So that's the commitment from Panasonic side, and we'll be contributing to 3% of the total carbon dioxide reduction. And that's, I think, a huge commitment that we are trying to give. Because as per IEM report last year, you will see the carbon dioxide emission globally was close to 37.2 billion tons, which is massive, and India is the third producer of carbon dioxide, unfortunately. So we have to play a huge, huge role. Yeah, so
Also, we are urbanizing at 6.7%, building one Chicago, 600 square kilometers every year. We have the Amrut mission for 4902 cities, the housing for all, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for the urban poor, 300 square feet house for every urban poor with power and water. All this is going to consume and produce a lot of carbon. So unless we don't go the sustainable way from the beginning, we are getting into worse problems.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll become, right now our water consumption is 135 liters per head per day, and US is 380 liters per head per day. Now we don't want to go the US way and become unsustainable, right, or the China way. So I'll go to Shibani. You are leading the way in empowering professional individuals in the Hand for Handmade initiative. This is a true contribution to Mother Earth. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, so Hand for Handmade is a not-for-profit where I'm one of the co-founders. We started off as a
Shibani, just put the mic a little higher.
Yeah, we started as, as a response to the COVID situation. Artisans in India were facing an extremely dire time because income had stopped, supply chain of raw materials, goods, everything had come to a standstill. And that's when a whole bunch of artisan clusters, not-for-profits, e-commerce individuals, entrepreneurs, media personnel, academicians came together, and we formed this collaborative group called Hand for Handmade. And we are helping scale clusters, small artisan clusters for growth. So right from giving them business building capacity and knowledge, to helping them with design inputs, to helping them with how to create more visibility and tell their stories better, we are empowering them to grow. Just to give you a small example, there's an artisan group called Porgai, and they're based in the south, and they're in the deep tribal belt of Tamil Nadu. And it takes 5-6 hours from Bangalore airport to reach them. When they started, all they had was two artisan women who were tribal women who had forgotten the skill of Lombardy embroidery, and they had no money and they had no support. And today they have built a complete governance system, right from an excellent hospital there, because the founders were two doctors, to 100 Lombardy women being employed fruitfully year-round and giving employment to the families and their children, to having highly successful, non-toxic textile products that they have created. And I think that what can be more deserving of help and support than people like this? And they have also created a very clean local governance system where the panchayat, they have cleaned up and moved corruption out. And we are helping them to actually grow and understand how to bring their products to markets, because that is their biggest challenge. Even though their story is so powerful and so engaging, they still do not have enough access to markets in cities, and they're trying to figure this aspect out and figure out the concepts of how to move their products into people like us who do not understand why we should buy the handmade products, because they are non-toxic, they are high quality, they are artisanal, and they're beautiful products. So as HFH, we are empowering them to build this kind of scalability. This is just an example.
Thank you, Shivani. You're a true green warrior. Thank you. Looking ahead, Sourabh, what do you see as the future of brands and sustainability, and how will this impact the business environment as a whole?
Gurmit, I believe that it is important that businesses adopt sustainability as a part of their business strategy. This can be achieved by following a triple bottom line approach. So what it really means is, we all know the first most important bottom line, which is the financial bottom line, which we all focus on. But parallelly, businesses also need to look at the other two bottom lines, one being the environment, the nature. And sustainability also refers to the other component. It's not just about nature. Sustainability also refers to the societal impact. So that's the third bottom line. So that's where the three bottom lines are as important that any business needs to focus on. In fact, if you look at the opposite of the word sustainable, it means unsustainable. So any business that is not approaching sustainability is actually unsustainable. So, we talk about purpose-driven businesses. So, it wouldn't excite people to come to office to just achieve financial milestones. So people aspire, today's generation, millennials of today, aspire to pursue some purpose as a part of their career. Our kids are being brought up as environmental conscious citizens. They are going to be the consumers of tomorrow. There have been surveys which show that if almost 1/3 of the people that were surveyed, given an option, they would opt for a sustainable product. And in case of millennials or Gen Z, this was even a higher number than 1/3. So this clearly shows that the demand for, there is an increasing demand for sustainable products. So brands need to be present where their consumers are. And it's not just about the demand. Talking about sustainability of businesses, even government is driving the demand. Government, in all probability, is going to be making this things mandatory. So last year, government had adopted the nationally determined contributions, the NDC, according to which they intend to reduce the GHG emissions by almost 45% per capita of GDP, per capita of GDP by 2030. So that would require many such mandatory measures by the government. We have seen how government has acted in terms of LED adoption, the Ujala scheme of 2015. We have seen what they have done with solar adoption. We are expecting that the ECBC residential code might be made mandatory soon. So these are some of the things that will, make mandatory for businesses to adopt sustainability as a business strategy.
The ECBC is already amended by 152 engineers from ISHRE, IPA and IGBC. It is now going to be called the Energy Conservation and Sustainable Building Code. It will include water and waste also. And it will be mandated by Parliament. 14th of December is the inauguration. Maybe the Prime Minister will inaugurate because this is being driven by the Prime Minister's office. So I have about a minute or so. I would like to throw this panel discussion to the House. Anybody has any questions? Shabnam ji, can you give her a mic? And please, can you address the question? Can you give the name who the question is addressed to?
Well, sorry, I missed the name of the speaker in the center.
In the center, the lady or the gent?
Yes,
Arpita.
Arpita. Hi, Arpita. I think brilliant conversation, I think, with regard to branding of the products. What I want to understand, Arpita, from you is that on one hand, we talked about, the incremental costs that go into, what the builder has to put in terms of a cost that goes into as an incremental cost. But you also touched upon that, the green buildings should not cost higher. So how do you marry the two things? And what are the different aspects that go into saying that, this is an incremental cost, and who bears the burden of this incremental cost? Thanks.
See, I think, so, like for example, if you opt for green products, and I'll just talk from my organization's point of view, that if you use a dry construction technology vis-a-vis a traditional system, so it'll probably cost you about 20% higher than that of your normal construction, which is your traditional construction. But there is a cost-benefit analysis that you can actually do, and you can showcase the consumer, which could be a builder, or it could be an end user, which is an individual home builder, and show the merits that over a period of time, you will also you'll also save money, which is through your energy consumption. Like for example, these kind of building envelope systems that you actually create will keep your ambient temperature much lower. So your energy consumption is going to be lower. And therefore, you'll have to keep proposing cost-benefit analysis and value propositions to build the case. Without building that case, the adoption is not going to happen. So I think as a building materials organization, we are trying to build that on a one-on-one basis with architects, specifiers, and also with builders. And at a builder's level, I think so they're also now moving towards the sustainable approach of construction.
Thank you, Arpita. Yeah, you want to add something, Aditi?
I would like to add here. So one is, of course, making a business case. The other side is also the energy efficient buildings, or let's say high performance buildings, what we call it as. It kind of opens a bigger avenue for getting a green finance. A lot of financial institutions, be it the FDIs or private equity firms, they are looking at, because they have their own commitments towards the net zero or global commitments. They are looking to invest in so basically on the lower cost of capital is something that you can actually look for. The builders actually look for from the efficient buildings. So there is not really actually. One is the, of course, operational cost, which will, you will have a payback period, and whenever that is breaking even. But even for the basis point benefit that you might get it for these financial institutions. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Aditi. One last question
Yes,
for the
sir,
audience,
good evening.
and then we'll close.
My name is Shankar Narayanan. I lead the products team for Nippon Paint India.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all the leaders taking time to come and address on such a topic. So I have a point to add. Two things. As a consumer, I'm ready to use a green product. Yes, I want to be sustainable. I want to contribute. As a manufacturer, we are ready to offer. But there are two very important factors in between, two intermediaries. One is the dealer, because Sourabh sir made distribution. Now, if you have to take the product, there should be dealers who should be aligned for this vision. And because profitable, they also want to be profitable, but sometimes it gets very out of hand. The second point is the people who actually use it, the painters, the electricians, the plumbers, the masons. How do we get them on board? Because they are the people who actually use this product. As a consumer and a manufacturer there. But in between, these two things are not being added. So from IGBC, you're doing a lot of work. But going forward, looking at the dealers, the people who distribute, the professionals who get to handle this, can we skill them? Can we upscale them? Make them understand? If we start training them, it could make a whole lot of difference to the entire value chain. I mean, your thoughts on it, with your permission.
Nippon was the first paint to get certified in the country. You need to skill your dealers, boss.
We'll do that, but any thoughts on how do we do it, especially the paint?
We'll work together on this, no problem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think the panel has done a wonderful job. They have answered all the questions correctly. And of course, let's take a bow and say thank you to all of them. Come on.
Thank you so much, Gurmit. As you rightly started your panel by saying that we're going to make it the best panel. And, the fact that you can see such a curious audience till the very end of the summit, I think kudos to the leadership on the stage. Let's give them a warm, warm round of applause. Thank you for delivering such an amazing panel. May I now have the publisher and business head of Realty Plus, Tripti Kedia, who's going to be joining us and helping us with a felicitation. So the warm round of applause. Thank you so much, Gurmit. I think they want the shots, Tripti.
We want your photo also in Realty Plus.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Arpita. Love the hugs also coming on stage. Thank you, Raja, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Raja Mukherjee. Thank you so much, Shibani. Thank you so much, Sourabh. So Well, with that, if I can request Tripti along with the entire panel for one group photograph. And we've saved the best for the last, and let's get more and more energy in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all our eminent speakers for taking those questions, and thank you once again